If you don't risk it all, you're living your life on empty. Why do I say this? Before I risked everything, I remember a time when I lived in fear. And there's a really, really good quote by Alexander the Great, who was the greatest general that ever lived. Now, I mean, you could say Napoleon is the best, or Caesar. I mean, they're all pretty good, but one of his lessons is that humanity is constantly at war, and that you're at a war with fear. And that's the greatest war. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that if you have fear, you're scared to risk everything, including just doing things like taking risks in the first place, you know? Fear is a strange feeling. I even had a fear to record these videos, you know? A fear of being on camera, a fear of talking and exposing myself to the world and being mocked or ridiculed. But I had to tell myself that that was something that I couldn't let control me and my actions. And I'll say this, I mean, if you let it control you, I think that fear is one of the worst things that can really control you, because you won't take risks. And you have to take risks that if you want to win in the game. What is the game? It's exactly what it sounds like. It's the game of life. You know, you're a player in the game whether you like it or not. Whether you want to participate in it or not, you are playing it. Now you can choose, you're playing the game, but some people choose not to participate in the game, aka they don't see it like that. They don't make moves, you know, jump like across the board, whatever you want to call it, make calculated maneuvers. Essentially the game, I mean, what is the objective of it in the last, like, what is the final objective? I mean, that's really up to you, you know. If having a family, is that what you're looking for, you know, having a family, you know? Are you trying to be the richest man, you know? In reality, the final objective is up to you. I mean, there's different objectives for everyone here in this planet. Currently, like, yeah, you could have like a small objective, you could have a large objective. You could try to become the ruler of a country. You could try to become the best, you know, wrestler in the world, you know, the best fighter, you know, if that's what you're thinking. If you're trying to become rich, you're trying to be like Jeff Bezos, become the richest man. They're playing a whole game themselves, the billionaires. You know, businessmen play a game with each other. It's a competing business. Who can have the best business, who can have the best product. Even then, you have competition, and you're competing against other players in the game. Now, if you want to play, you have to risk. You can play with very little chips on the table, you know, just like poker or Texas Hold'em. You can play it safe, but you're not gonna get anywhere playing it safe. You could get lucky playing it safe, but as you know, not everyone is blessed by luck divinely. Sometimes you have to take action. Actually, most of the time you have to take action. Most people do have to take action. There's a 99.9% chance you ain't just gonna win the lottery tomorrow. And there's like a 99% chance that you're not rich, just by virtue of being born in the right family or circumstance. Most people are normal. And most people have to fight to survive. So, what am I going at with the risk thing? If you don't risk it all, you won't win the game. You have to risk it all if you want to win. What do I mean by that? I mean, look at some of your favorite heroes, Batman, Spider-Man, Iron Man. What do they all have in common? When they go into battle and the world's in balance and they're fighting their rival, they have to risk it all, including their life. And that's actually what I'm asking of you. You're going to have to put your life on the line. You could die. You could get killed. You could lose fucking everything. No joke. And the thing is that you really don't know when you have to risk it all. There could be moments out of nowhere that you're completely caught off guard, where you do have to risk it all, where you have to put all your chips on the table and go all in, or die trying. Personally, that's how I decided to live once I got on this journey of being in the game, that I've accepted the fact that playing could be your end. And that's the thing, you take on a risk by playing it, that you could get killed, you could get capped off the board. There's a really good scene in The Wire. That's a show that y'all should check out if y'all are into interpersonal stuff, dynamics, personality type shit. Players going against each other. But in the early season, some of the gangbangers are playing checkers. And they're using a chessboard to play the checkers. But one of the smarter gangbangers, D'Angelo, I think that's his name, he comes over, he's like, "Why are y'all playing checkers with a chessboard? Chess is a better game." And he shows them the different pieces, the king, the queen, the pawns, the castle, etc. And what he talks about is the king stays the king, right? The king moves in any direction in one space at a time. And the king really doesn't have to do much. He just stays in the back. He's not really the one that's out there fighting on the front line. He's, just making calculated small moves, but he's protected by a whole army of pieces, of different pieces are protecting him. And ultimately, the player playing the game is the king, and the pieces are his moves, I mean, you could equate it to anything. You could equate it to like a group. The head of the group would be the king, etc., countries, whatever you want to call it, right? The king, he stays the king. The queen, right, jumps all the way across the board, has every move, the queen piece. They talk about that's the get shit done piece. That's like the boots on the ground, that's the boss, the right hand, whatever you want to call it. That's the second in command that's out there, like, making shit happen, essentially. So the queen is very important, very strong, very powerful, very, very powerful piece. Can take out a lot of other pieces. But the queen is putting itself in a lot of danger, but hey, she ain't no bitch. She got all the moves. That's what they say in the show. The castle would be like, they say it's a stash house. It's a show about like drug dealing and stuff and cops. But the castle moves around, and they say it's the stash. But the castle can be equated to anything. It could be your business. You got to move the castle, and you got to move muscle with it. You got to protect it. You have to be dynamic, and you have to change your strategy constantly. They didn't bring up the rooks. Don't ask me about the rooks. I forgot what the rook does. But I mean, I'm sure it's important. So you can equate the rook in your own way if you do know how to play chess. I personally don't know how to play chess, but I really like that scene, so let's move on. I think it really equated to life in general. The pawns, this is the important part. They talk about the pawns, that's the front lines. The pawns move forward, only one step ahead, and they fight. They're the frontline soldiers. He talks about the pawns get capped out the game quick. Basically, they leave the game early. But if the pawn can make it to the other side of the board and capture the king, which a pawn can do, becomes a queen. So the pawn's objective is to go to the other side, the ultimate goal to capture the other guy's king. And then basically a pawn can become a very powerful piece in a short period of time if it can make it to the end of the board and not get destroyed before the end of the game. So if you are a pawn, which most of us are, you know, we start off as pawns, we have nothing, no experience, we're just soldiers on the front lines, you know, mindlessly fighting, going forward. But you can be a really smart pawn and become a queen in your own right if you're in that position. Now there's games within games, of course, but I guess what I'm trying to say is you gotta risk it all. And yeah, there's a chance that you're gonna get killed being a soldier on the front lines fighting like that, but do you always want to be a pawn? That's my question for you. Or do you want to elevate and put yourself out there and risk yourself and risk it all for the bread? Recently, I was running at night and I was really introspecting about everything and about this whole mission and journey that I'm on to become stronger and more powerful and accumulate more in my cup, as they say. You gotta accumulate more in your cup. If you only got one little drop in your cup, you can't do shit with it. You can't drink it, nothing. But if your cup is overflowing with abundance, you can take your cup and pour a little bit into someone else's cup. Oh, here you go, homie. I got you. Because it's overflowing, you can share a little bit and you can help. But I was running and I was really thinking about everything, like heavy. It was just all in my head. And I shit you not, I literally saw a shooting star. I was running at night. I was thinking, I was like manifesting it in my head. And I saw a shooting star, literally a comet light or some shit. It was so bright and it was just beautiful. And it was streaking across the sky. And then I remember I like looked at it, I was like, yo, this is a sign. And I pulled up my phone, like on Instagram, and there was just like this picture that popped up randomly right after, and it said, or die trying. And I knew there are messages from the universe out there, guys, and they do come to you. You have to look for them. But the all-being, whoever you want to call them, God, the Most High, the universe, the universal consciousness, does talk to you. Now it's not going to be a voice in, like, you know, that pops up or whatever, and oh, you need to do this, like that. No, I mean, it is subtle signs from the universe that give you what your destiny is, and we all have one. We all have a destiny. So get this shit done or die trying.